Hola a todos and welcome to my second video from the series Grammar with me, Sebas. The topic for today is the nouns in Spanish, and I consider that this is one of the most basic topics, so let's pay attention for this one. Empecemos. First, I would like to explain you what a noun is. A noun, or sustantivo as we call it in Spanish, is every word we use to designate every kind of substance. In some other words, the noun refers to everything that exists. For example, sun, bicycle, England, United States, etc. You might think that this is a very simple topic, but if you want to start Spanish from scratch, it's really important to learn these basic topics as they may have some rules that may differ from other languages, English included. Now I will explain you about the classification of the nouns in Spanish. After that, I would like to explain you a little bit about the nouns morphology in Spanish, and finally we will see a couple of examples. Let's get started. Nouns in Spanish are divided into two main groups, which are the sustantivos propios or proper nouns and sustantivos comunes, common nouns. To write the proper nouns, we have a rule which is similar to English. They always start with a capital letter, and as its name says, they are proper, which means that there are only one in the whole universe. This will apply for proper names, countries, cities, etc. Some examples: Peru, Nueva York, Maria. They usually don't use an article, but there are some exceptions. On the other hand, in written language, common nouns always start with a lowercase letter, except of course when they start a sentence. And again, as its name says, this is for common elements, which could be many of them in the universe. Now, there is a sub-classification for common nouns. This is just for general knowledge, and this doesn't imply any new rule or something, but it's always good to know. The common nouns could also subdivide into abstract and concrete nouns, sustantivos abstractos y concretos. The abstracts are nouns that we can perceive with our senses, like amor, libertad, nación, etc. On the other hand, the concrete nouns are those which are tangible in some way or another, like lápiz, perro, zapatos, etc. Now that you know about the nouns classification in Spanish, I will explain you about the nouns morphology. Basically, you must always consider two characteristics for every noun. The first characteristic is about the number of the noun, or número de sustantivo as we call it in Spanish. For English speaker, this might be really easy as it's basically the same. In Spanish, we also have the plural and singular for every noun. The second characteristic might be a little bit difficult for English speakers at the beginning, and it's about the gender of the noun, or género de sustantivo as we call it in Spanish. And that's right, you guessed it. In other languages like Italian, French, and Portuguese, we also have the gender of the noun, and it's basically that for the nouns, they might be male or female. To understand this a little bit more, you should also see my other videos about the indefinite and definite articles, as the articles help to emphasize the gender and the number of the nouns. Well, now I have some bad news for you guys, because I have to say that for most cases we'll have to memorize by heart the gender of the noun. Now I would like to tell you some examples for every noun classification and also for the number and the gender. Argentina, Pedro, María, Santiago de Chile, Río Amazonas. You must know that for proper nouns, it's most common to not use an article, but there are some exceptions, like los Países Bajos, los Alpes, el carro, los carros, el gato, los gatos, el teléfono, los teléfonos, la casa, las casas, la fruta, las frutas, la camisa, las camisas, el poder, los poderes, el amor, los amores, el temor, los temores, la alegría, las alegrías, la nación, las naciones, la primavera, las primaveras. Alright, felicitaciones! Now you know everything about the nouns in Spanish. Just a last tip before we finish, When you start studying vocabulary, you should consider to write with two different colors of pencils. For example, you could use the blue one for male nouns and the red one for the female nouns. If you have any comment, recommendation or opinion, just leave your comment below, and if you like this video, thumb up and subscribe. Soy Sebas y hasta la próxima.